Hi, my name is Zachary Hamden, and this is my Journey Forward Multimedia Project. I recently did an article about athlete-fan interaction on Twitter, and two of the people I interviewed are here today, and I just wanted to give them a forum to elaborate more on the points that they made in my article. Oftentimes in literary work, you don't really get to see the full picture or hear the full side of someone's opinion or thought process. And I have two of the people that I interviewed here today, and they're just going to explain themselves a little bit. How about you guys introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Tyler Kavanaugh. I'm a senior here at Michigan State, majoring in human biology. And I'm on Twitter pretty much every day. Follow a random variety of people, from athletes to musicians to just anyone in general. And with the sports aspect, I'm really into sports. I like baseball, basketball, football a little bit here and there. But some athletes I like to follow are Chad Johnson and James Harden. Kevin Durant especially, because he's really into music and I like music as well, and to get his intuition on what he thinks about what he's listening to really kind of makes me connect with him more and more. But going off of that, I think Twitter helps these superstars, as they're viewed by most people, bring them down to earth and make them almost a real person, giving them a voice and giving them a voice that people aren't normally seeing with. Also, like, for example, the music.
My name is Jad Harajli. I'm political science major. I also study some linguistics here at Michigan State. I do use Twitter myself, and I follow several different athletes and musicians. Also use it as social media to speak with friends of mine. And for athletes, in my personal opinion, I think Twitter is, I'd say, somewhat overrated and maybe something that I'd view very speculatively, because a lot of PR and a lot of advertisements and different campaigns can be run easily through a Twitter account for minimal cost. And I just don't think that it's always a genuine representation of what an athlete would be trying to convey to his fans, whether it be a message or some new news about their career. It's not something that I personally look to as my main source of getting to know athletes in the sports that I follow.
Alright guys, I'd like to ask you a couple questions, and my first question would be, if you could, how would you change athlete and fan interaction on Twitter?
Personally, I wouldn't really change anything. I like the way it's set up, the way I follow athletes. I like what they're putting on the internet, so that's why I'm following them. If I didn't, I wouldn't be following them, so I'd probably keep it the same.
For me, since I don't really buy into the whole fan-athlete interaction on Twitter in the first place, I believe the social media platform with this site specifically is more easily utilized with a group of friends. But when you have an athlete who has, say, 5 million followers, it's not really an easy process to be kind of communicating back and forth directly with the athlete.
Alright, and the second question I would ask you guys should athletes and fans alike be held to the same standards as everyone else when using Twitter?
Personally, I think they should be held to a little bit of a higher standard, just because they do have more fame, more power that comes with that. So they kind of do have to watch what they say to a certain extent, but I also believe they should have some sort of freedom, a little bit more than what they do, because they're held accountable for some things that they say that might just be taken the wrong way.
In my opinion, it depends on the organization the athlete's playing for. It really shouldn't matter what anyone is saying on a social media site as long as it's not illegal. But if you do have a public image that you're trying to maintain and a company that you're representing in a sports organization, then you should probably be adhering to their standards or following their advice on what you should be saying publicly and not saying publicly.
And on the flip side of that, how do you think fans should be held responsible for posting like hateful messages versus players? I know players have received death threats after bad performances. So just kind of elaborate how you think that should be dealt with.
Personally, I think once it gets to like a hate crime, I think there's no room for that in social media or anywhere for that aspect. But as long as if a fan is being critical of someone's performance, I think they're allowed to be criticized. But if it gets to the extreme of a hate crime, then I think it has to be monitored somehow by either Twitter or some way before like they get mentioned or something before it gets out on the social media.
For me, either criticism or hate. I know personally, if I'm watching the NBA, for example, or anybody else who's an avid fan, you think you're Phil Jackson from the couch at home. But to criticize a superstar athlete who does this as his profession daily, who's putting in hours training every day, I don't think there's any real value in most fan criticism if you're not directly involved with the game or aren't a student of the game, so to speak.
And the last question's kind of like into the future. What's the next step? Like, whether on social media or in person, doesn't matter. What do you see as the next step in athlete-fan interaction?
With Twitter, I mean, I see it fairly similar to what it is now, but there'll probably be more of an interaction between the fans and the athlete by like possible contests like from the athletes that they give out to their fans, like maybe find a certain statistic that they had a while back and they might win something. But as far as that goes, I would probably see more of those. I don't really see it changing too much more than that though.
Yeah, I mean the crazy thing about the whole Twitter experience in the first place is that it's so direct. It's the most direct interaction you can possibly get if you do have the chance to tweet back and forth with an athlete. So taking it a step further would be being with them face to face. So I can't really say besides meeting up with an athlete personally, like in a contest or something of that nature, if there'd be anything more direct in communicating with an athlete if they are the one who is actually administering all of their Twitter account activity.
So this is kind of it. You guys think we're kind of like in the future in a way?
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, the whole advent of information technology and social media for politics, sports, musicians, newscasting, it's very instant gratification when you're trying to seek some kind of media experience. And talking to athletes is no different in some cases, but there are, from what I've seen, also cases where it is more of a PR thing or there's money to be made. I mean, Twitter is not just some free service; it is a company, and there's ways to use it to make money as well, whether you're an athlete or not. So,
Yeah, I agree along with the lines of that. Just, I mean, there's only a certain extent that you can get to it. I don't really see it changing too much more than that.
Thank you guys for your time.